It's Ramsey Dewey over here in Shanghai, China. Welcome to another edition of Q&A with the Coach. Today our friend Guy S. writes in, I did some light, playful sparring with my brother and I didn't use shin guards. Everything was fine. Is there some danger I'm unaware of, or are shin guards just for harder sparring? So what are shin guards for, my guy, whose name is Guy S.? Well, shin guards have a couple of uses. The main application of shin guards for sparring is to protect your shins while checking round kicks, especially leg kicks. That's the main application. Now, shin guards will dampen the impact a little bit when you're doing very light contact sparring for a round kick to the body or to the head, or if you're blocking a kick to the head with your arms, it's going to dampen the impact a little bit on the arms. But again, this is essentially for light sparring. If you're sparring heavy, shin guards won't do a whole lot. They'll dampen it a little bit. But the differences are going to be mostly cosmetic. That's the thing with training gear, is that it is intended primarily for lighter sparring as opposed to full contact fighting. It's one of the reasons that you don't see professional fighters in professional fights wearing this safety gear, because when you are sparring full contact, when you are fighting, if you will, not sparring, when you are fighting, it does very, very little to mitigate damage anyway, and simply becomes a hindrance. So, shin checking. The main reason we have shin guards in the first place. It's not very fun, even light contact, when you are checking shin kicks or having your kicks checked with the shin, and then to have to go home and rub your shins, and it's like, oh man, I got all these little dings and nicks on my shins now. I've got bumps and raised edges. There's a layer of soft tissue. It's like a tube of muscle around the outside of the front of the shin. And when you ding up your shin by checking kicks, it can feel like you've got bumps in your bone, because the soft tissue becomes very hard. And it can take a long time to heal unless you are taking some very specific recovery methods, alternating between ice and heat, massage, compression, movement, etc. It can take a long time to get these little dings out of your shins, if you will. And so sparring with shin guards, it allows you to spar more. And if you're going to spar every day, which you totally can, and if you want to get as good as you can, is optimal as long as you're using control and not damaging or injuring your training partners or giving each other brain damage. Even so, light contact leg kicks being checked can ding up the shins of both guys to the point where they're not going to be able to do that the next day and the next and the next. So shin guards are a lifesaver in that regard, allowing you to spar more often, more frequently, and hone your skills to a greater level. Now, can you spar without shin guards? Yes, absolutely. Totally. I do it. My coaches have done it. I trained Muay Thai with Rock Chanan Sinsub. He is an awesome Muay Thai fighter, over 360 Muay Thai fights, mostly wins, holder of titles from Lumpini Boxing Stadium and several other major stadiums in Thailand. Awesome guy. And the first time I got into the ring to play with him, because that's what he called it. He never called it sparring. He said, let's play in the ring. He wasn't wearing shin guards, and I got a little scared, like, oh man, he's gonna kick me with his bare bones. Ooh. But no, he just used a whole lot of control. And he expected the same level of control from me. And he taught me that level of control as well. So, I mean, here's some footage of me sparring without shin guards. And you've got to be careful. You've got to pull the strikes. You've got to play in the ring instead of fighting in the ring. There's a massive difference. If you don't understand that, maybe it's not yet time to take off the shin guards. So that is what shin guards are for, my friends. Always err on the side of caution. Now, if you are able to spar with your little brother, without shin guards and go really light and playful, and nobody's getting hurt, cool. More power to you. If you're making contact to the point where there is a risk of bone-on-bone contact, to the point where it will ding up your shins, where you won't be able to walk right the next day, or get in the ring and spar again the next day, or kick the bag the next day. Man, this is another big problem with checking kicks. It's not just being able to check another kick the next day, it's being able to kick the bag again the next day. Because that's a huge part of Muay Thai training. A massive part of Muay Thai training, believe it or not, is kicking the bag. I think any foreigner who has gone to train in Thailand understands this, because one of the first things they do with foreigners at these Muay Thai camps is tell them, go kick the bag a bunch of times. Go kick that bag for a few hours, and let's see if you can even put up with that before I give you a moment of attention. And when you spend several hours a day just kicking a bag, which they often will in these Muay Thai camps, there's no way you can do that with dinged up shins. It's just not going to happen, man. I had this fight where my opponent kept checking my kicks, and I kept failing to set up my kicks, and so he checked like 30 of my leg kicks. And when you're high on adrenaline, you don't notice this, and you don't really care, and you feel like Superman, and you feel unstoppable, and so you just keep doing some stupid stuff over and over again. But after the fight, especially the next day, I felt it in the shins. And I went back to training a couple of days later, and I kicked the bag as hard as I could, and I fell down, grabbed my shin like some cartoon character who just bumped his leg in the coffee table, doing that sort of thing. And it was incredibly painful, and I was like, I've been kicking bags for many years. Why does it hurt this bad? Well, I feel like a total noob. What's going on? For the simple reason that I had all this cumulative damage, all the soft tissue was swollen up and bumpy, like I was telling you before, and I hadn't addressed that issue. Now, that's expected after a professional fight. That is not how you should be going back to the gym the next day after a casual sparring session. Take care of your body, guys. You only get one. Thank you for watching. Now get out there and train.